Kickstart your day with a delicious cup of Blackout Coffee. It's family-owned, it's premium coffee, fresh roasted, and shipped out within 48 hours of roasting. They roast the beans, they package them up, they ship them off, they land on your doorstep, you put them in your cup, Bob's your uncle. Go to blackoutcoffee.com, promo code PDB for 20% off your first-time purchase. It's Monday, 24 June. Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. Let's get briefed. First, terrorism has struck Russia for the second time in recent months, as suspected Islamic gunmen kill at least 9 people and injure dozens in coordinated attacks on several locations in Russia's southernmost Dagestan province. Also, more than 2 decades after the 9/11 attacks, new questions are being raised about Saudi Arabia's potential involvement. New video, unsealed at the request of victims' families, shows a Saudi man filming key locations in Washington, D.C. ahead of the attacks. But first, our afternoon spotlight. Russia is once again reeling from a series of terror attacks targeting religious sites in Russia's North Caucasus region of Dagestan on Sunday. While verified information from the ground continues to evolve, gunmen appeared to execute a series of coordinated attacks in multiple cities across the province, simultaneously hitting 2 Orthodox churches, a synagogue, and a police post. The churches and synagogue were set ablaze during the attacks as the gunmen exchanged fire with local police before fleeing in a car. A 66-year-old Russian Orthodox priest was reportedly among the 9 confirmed deaths, along with a church security guard and at least 7 police officers. That's according to a report from Reuters. At least 25 injuries have also been reported, though we expect that number will rise as the dust settles. Late Sunday, Russian authorities said, quote, the active phase of the counter-terrorist operation is completed, though they noted suspects were still at large and law enforcement operations were ongoing. While no group has taken responsibility as of Sunday evening and the gunmen have not yet been identified, reports from the ground suggest they were likely Islamic extremists. Footage posted to social media shows bearded gunmen wearing black clothing moving through the streets and shooting at police cars, while other reports say the gunmen were heard shouting Allahu Akbar. Now, that could be a clue. Russian state media said that at least 4, quote, militants were killed in exchanges with Russian authorities, though, again, the attacks have not yet been officially linked to any Islamic groups. It's worth noting, however, that Russia's majority Muslim Republic of Dagestan has long been a hub for Islamic extremism. Again, possibly another clue. In April, Russian authorities arrested 4 men from Dagestan in connection with the deadly terror attack by ISIS militants on Moscow's Crocus City Hall concert venue, which killed 145 people. Notably, Magomed Omarov, the head of a local district in Dagestan, has been taken into custody following reports that his 2 sons allegedly took part in the attacks. Now, despite the lack of clarity regarding the attacks and in a completely expected move, some officials in Russia wasted no time in implying the involvement of Ukraine and Western intelligence agencies, much like after the attack in Moscow. As you'll likely recall, even after the Islamic State took credit for the attack in March, Russian President Vladimir Putin continued to imply that Ukraine and NATO countries were quarterbacking the operation. A leading lawmaker in Dagestan said Sunday, quote, there's no doubt that these terrorist attacks are in one way or another connected with the intelligence services of Ukraine and NATO countries, end quote. The president of the neighboring Russian Republic of Chechnya appeared to echo those sentiments in a slightly vaguer statement, calling the attacks a, quote, vile provocation and an attempt to cause discord, end quote. Their statements, however, seem to contradict official reports from law enforcement in Dagestan, who said late Sunday that a terror investigation was still underway and that they have not yet determined who may ultimately be behind the coordinated attacks. Coming up after the break, new questions are being raised about Saudi Arabia's potential involvement in 9/11 as new video, unsealed at the request of victims' families, shows a Saudi man filming key locations in Washington, D.C. ahead of the attacks. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. It's hard to believe, but 23 years after September 11th, we still have unanswered questions and ongoing investigations. Arguably, the biggest lingering question is the level of involvement or advanced knowledge that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had about the attacks. A video that's been under lock and key since before the attack has now emerged, showing a man identified by the FBI as Omar al-Bayoumi, a man believed to be a Saudi intelligence agent, filming locations in Washington, D.C. The footage was shot back in the summer of 1999 and was unsealed by court action initiated by families of 9/11 victims. This video was first obtained by CBS and aired on 60 Minutes, and it features Bayoumi commenting on various Washington landmarks, including the U.S. Capitol's entry points and security arrangements. The grainy video also shows Bayoumi greeting, quote, esteemed brothers from Washington and discussing the Washington Monument and other locations. The FBI claims Bayoumi filmed the video along with 2 Saudi diplomats connected to al-Qaeda. Perhaps most ominously, he refers to a, quote, plan during the filming. If you'll remember, the Capitol itself was never hit during the attacks. However, it was believed to be the target of United Airlines Flight 93 that day. Passengers ultimately thwarted the hijackers on that flight, causing the plane to crash in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The families claim that the newly released video shows Saudi government complicity in the attacks. The footage was first found in Bayoumi's UK apartment post 9/11. It was then handed over to the FBI by Scotland Yard. At the time, Bayoumi was a PhD student at Aston University, but he reportedly had an address book filled with the contact details of numerous Saudi officials. Declassified FBI reports indicate a 50-50 chance that Bayoumi knew of the attacks and had assisted 2 of the hijackers, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Midar, upon their arrival in the U.S., communicating with an Osama bin Laden logistics facilitator during this period. Saudi authorities continue to deny Bayoumi was their agent and that they had any involvement in 9/11. It's worth noting that the official U.S. government inquiry into the 9/11 attacks, detailed in the 9/11 Commission report, found no conclusive evidence that the Saudi government or senior Saudi officials knowingly supported the 9/11 hijackers. However, the inquiry did note that some of the hijackers had indirect connections to individuals linked to the Saudi government, but these connections were not definitively tied to the attacks. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Monday, 24 June. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And remember, if you want to listen to the show ad-free, be sure to check out our premium membership at pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool.